Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up, NWAPcast listeners? This your boy, Smooth Orator.
I feel like you should.
That's how you start, right?
Right. I feel like because you did that so
that's
well,
exactly what you were gonna say, right?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Well, continue.
I don't really appreciate you mocking me like that. All the work I'm putting in to make sure that I put in a good show. You just out here just gonna break my whole shit down or whatever. Appreciate that.
Man, we appreciate you. You're a great host.
Thank you. Whatever. I'm the host, Smooth Orator.
It's me, Lextopia.
Today we are down 2 members. Tunde is somewhere frolicking in I was gonna say in Atlanta. He's frolicking somewhere in Los Angeles, and Negro at Android is I don't know where he's at. Are you frozen?
I just know Tunde is responsible, but we're gonna let him live.
Yeah. I just had some like hiccup or something. There's something going on with the Wi-Fi. Hello?
Hear me?
Yeah, like you're just basically like breaking up on my computer right now.
Right here. Can't hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Oh, and now all my messages just went through. Because I was sitting here saying it's fine. I see everything the same and regular.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to just start
know.
over? Or let's
no,
just
because it's just us. I can cut that out.
Okay.
That's easy.
Okay.
So you just said Dez and Tunde aren't here, so it's 2 of us.
Yeah, so me and Lex gonna be running, you know what I mean, the 2-man weave or the 1-man, 1-woman weave today. Hopefully that goes well. And if it don't, then fuck it. You got a new episode anyway, and you ain't got nothing to complain about because not like you paid for
I
this
think
shit.
it will. They like us the best anyway, I think.
So you just gonna start a beef with the other podcast members?
Basically, while they're not here.
While they're not here. So when they come back, they won't
come see me. Negro Android, come see me. Deliver and fade, Smooth Order style.
Well, I just want to say that although I am on this podcast as a participant, I do not endorse any of the messages that my co-podcaster said. So whatever fade that y'all want to deliver, please deliver it directly to her. I am an innocent bystander in this.
Wow. But you know what, G? I've just been kind of stressed out. So I want to ask you this, and I want to ask the listeners this too. It's January, like 2nd weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got that fresh start feeling this year.
The 2nd weekend of January,
it felt like no for New Year's.
Okay, you mean January? The date was January 2nd. Okay.
But I mean, just with New Year's, like I feel like it's fresh start. I feel good. I'm motivated. Mm-hmm. This year, I feel like it just was a continuation of like the bullshit of last year. So I'm like, yo, is that not coming this year?
How did you end your year? And what is it that's transferring?
I was eating lobster watching Dave Chappelle.
Okay. And no, that's not what I meant. I'm like, what is it that is transferring from last year to this year that you feel like you haven't gotten a fresh start?
Ooh. Oh.
I know, right? That was good. That was a real good question. I'm good at this.
Was good. Man, I'm not trying to be one of those cut everybody off from last year people. Mm-hmm. And then it's the news. It's like it's y'all president, and it's like everything's still stupid and bad news. And I don't know. Maybe I needed a mental break that I didn't take.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is you haven't changed anything from what you were doing at the end of last year to the beginning of this year. So everything feels the same.
Oh, you just put all that responsibility on me.
I did.
Oh, wow. I should stop paying for talk space and pay you.
You could. I do have a degree in psychology. You could pay me.
Oh. Nah, low key. Okay. Also, another thing. If you would pay Smooth Order to be your life coach, God, if people want that, though, that's kind of dangerous.
Nah, I want to be your life coach. I want to be your life coach.
Like, you probably don't want to listen to people all day, though, but
I do. Anyway, I do give good advice. I do. I think that is actually one of my better human characteristics. I don't do a lot of things in my life, right? But I feel like I'd give really, really good advice.
You do. And it's because you're good at also taking your own experiences and being like, here's the things I learned, and people like get shit out of that too.
Yeah, and I'm mad non-judgy too, yo. Like niggas be telling me all kinds of wild shit. I just be like, wow, that's crazy.
Right. Like you're just like, okay, shit happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so fresh start. What am I doing differently? I need to do something different.
Right.
What has me so tired or burnt out or feeling whatever, and change it.
You need to do something
that was so simple.
Yeah, you need to do something that clearly delineates between what you were doing last year and what you were doing this year, and then from all things floweth. So yeah. Anyway, it's been a weird week. I feel like so much. I feel like when you're connected to the internet, you catch on to so much stuff that happens. It feels like so much shit happens in a week. Like on any given day, at any given hour, in any given minute, a whole bunch of super ridiculous shit is bound to happen.
I feel like it's always like one crazy day too. And then it just carries on in conversation for like the next 3 days.
Yeah. It's like, dude, like take this weekend, for instance, right? And this is going to be the first topic. You just chilling on Twitter, just, minding your business or whatever. You in Hawaii, enjoying the nice breeze. You know what I mean? You close to the equator. You know what I'm saying? It's not as cold over there.
Got a little drink in your hand,
and all of a sudden,
that pineapple joint.
Right. All of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? You saw a little cute breezy earlier. You know what I mean? You saw you a little boy toy earlier. You give me your phone number. You thinking you got a text. Your phone go off or whatever. You look down at your phone. It's not a text from that cute person you saw earlier. It's a fucking death message that says that a missile is heading to Hawaii.
A ballistic missile.
A ballistic missile is heading to your state. You need to take cover immediately. And then 38 minutes pass by, and they're like, yeah, that was a mistake. My bad. They put out, you know what I'm saying? They put out this whole message on Twitter saying, hey, that Hawaii message, that Hawaii missile message was a mistake. There is no missile on its way to Hawaii. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to feel about that?
No, this shit said this is not a drill too. So it's like, okay, how would you feel if you read that? I'd be like, yeah, this shit is about to be over. Ballistic missiles take cover? Nah.
I feel like you can't say that kind of shit. This is not a drill, right? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean this is not a drill?
Did they say how it happened? Is this like hacked?
Is this like super serious? No, somebody sent out the wrong message. It was an accident.
But I'm saying, how is that an accident?
Because you hire incompetent people to do this job that you probably don't think
testing out what. I don't know, man. I've seen enough episodes of 24 where and that shit probably was already ready. Like there really might have been something on the way, but they just fixed the shit up real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's in charge of sending out those messages. You know, there's still like 200 jobs that Trump was supposed to hire people for.
Why would you type that?
Maybe you want to make sure that, you know how you like used to watch TV and then like you be watching TV and all of a sudden like the sound go out and then like the emergency weather broadcast and be like, boom.
It'd be mad late night with the color bars.
No, not that. That's
this is a test of the something system.
Right, of your weather system. That the funny thing about color bars, the thing about color bars, that's when TV used to turn off.
I'm about to say, damn, I'm old too, huh?
Yes, we are old.
Damn, I'm an old head today. It says Tunde's not here.
Yeah, you are. But I was obviously we're closer in age. We are close in age, so I know what you're talking about. But yeah, for people who don't know, there used to be a time where television actually used to turn off. Like you would turn on your TV and there would be no transmissions to your television because there was no television. Like all the broadcasts.
Lenny said in his song, I watched the TV till the TV turned off.
Yeah.
And
like you had to go do Yeah, you had to go do something with your life. Like this era of 24-hour news and 24-hour cable and 24-hour everything, like this is really new. Well, relatively new, because for a while, like that shit wasn't there. Like your TV turned, your late night with Johnny Carson came on, and then after that shit, your TV was off because there was no more TV.
And every nigga was asleep before that shit went off anyway. So
yeah, pretty much. But what's crazy is it's like, how do I don't understand. Like they were saying, I was reading some of the stuff on Twitter, and they were talking about people who were sending messages to their family members like, this is like the last message I'm ever going to send you. Like we're making our last phone calls, like that kind of shit. Like you can't make a mistake scary. Like that. Ain't it?
Yeah. What would,
if I got a tweet, if I got a message like that?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like Hawaii is not a big state. right? So you gotta imagine if everybody got. But listen, but if everybody got that message, like you can't just drive off of Hawaii. Like you can't just
that's
leave.
Right. You stuck as hell.
Right. Yeah. Like it's not like Key West in Florida, right? Like you don't just drive, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to hit 95, I'm about to just drive up. Remember when Hurricane Irma came, they were showing the video of people that were stuck on I-75, I-95 for like 10, 12 hours and stuff like that. They're trying to get out of the state. Or when Harvey came to Houston or came to Texas, people were stuck on the highway. Yeah, there's no highway to get stuck on in Hawaii. Okay. Like either the only way you're getting off of Hawaii is if you fly off. And you got to know that if a ballistic missile is coming, you're not flying anywhere.
Yo, what if you were on a plane and y'all were about to take off and everybody should alerted? Woo! I'd be like, yes, God. I'm out of here.
But that's crazy, right?
So no, because then your family probably sitting there chilling.
Right. So that's crazy, right? Because you basically live in a situation where it's like, I'm going to die and there's nothing that I can do about it. So I don't really know how I would react. Like, would I just be like, would I just be like, I don't even know. Like, I'd probably just be like, maybe this is a mistake. And I'd probably start asking people around me, like, did y'all get this text message from the Hawaiian?
Because you know how they do the Amber Alerts where they're like, they're super loud. I think it was like that.
Yeah, but for like 38 minutes, you thought you was going to die.
I would have called my parents. I would have sent a couple I love you texts, and I would have went through my Twitter feed and erased the last couple shit. So like at least my last tweet will be something like I would do.
Man, I'll probably just been on Twitter like, fuck all y'all niggas. I hate you.
We know you would.
I hate you. I hate you. Fuck you, nigga.
But have you ever thought about that though, G?
What?
Like anytime I see on Twitter somebody being like RIP and they put the @ to somebody, like, whatever, we'll never forget you, I always go check their page out and I'll be like, damn, like sometimes I think like after I tweet something, like if this was my last tweet, man, that like how would people think about me? I don't know. Sometimes I think like that.
That's real funny that you say that, because I actually have I have like this weird thing, right? Where I'm like, I don't really care what people are going to say about me because I'm dead.
But your last tweet ever?
But listen, I was thinking, right? Like it's not about your legacy, isn't about you. It's about the people that come after you, right? So like if I have a kid and I have a family, like the things that people say about me will affect them more so than it's going to affect me, obviously, because I'm dead. So when I think of when you put it in that sort of terminology, you think about like your last tweet. It's like, why would I care? Like, I'm not going to be around to suffer the consequences of it. Yeah, but my family is, right? Like, niggas gonna be knocking on my family door. Did you know that your son was on Twitter asking to eat women's asses?
All right. Last thing you said, grow up niggas and eat ass.
Right. Like your last tweet is, I'm trying to go to this bitch house. She's got her ass waxed. Like, you don't want your family, you don't want your family answering questions about the fact that you was trying to eat a waxed asshole.
Damn, is that your last tweet?
No, that's not my last tweet. I do not tweet about eating ass. That is. I'm
about to say, I don't think that's your style.
No, it's not. I used to tweet like that in my early,
individual. That's what they're gonna say about you.
Yeah, in my mid, they're gonna say what?
They're gonna be like, this guy was an angry individual.
Yeah, everybody thinks I'm angry, and I'm really not. I type with the calmest demeanor. Really.
And it's funny because that's how I know some guys like that too, where I'm always like, yo, like relax, like you come across so stressed out, but you have to know them and like it's like, no, I'm just saying things straight fucking forward and like clean cut. Like that's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, people think
like guys don't really fluff shit up like that.
Yeah, people think because I curse a lot that I'm angry, and it's not that I'm angry. That's just how I talk.
I mean, and because you threaten everybody.
Well, I only threaten people when people do things that are worth being threatened for, right? Like when
you call people idiots
because they're stupid. Like I'm not, not making these things up.
So you're a beacon of truth, is really what you are.
I don't want to say I'm a beacon of truth. I don't, you know, what I mean, like I don't have anything to gain by being somebody different. You know, it's not even about sugarcoating. It's like I'm on Twitter. Like I'm on Twitter for a reason. I'm on Twitter to read good articles, have good conversations, and talk shit. And like anything outside of that is pretty much like not what I'm here for, because now I'm older and like now I see how Twitter can ruin niggas' lives. So I've changed myself for a quarter. And I'm older now. Like when I first got on Twitter, I was 20. I got on Twitter in 2009. So that was 8 years ago. I was 24, right? Like I was young. I was dumb. I really didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. So like I'm 32 now. So like the way that I use Twitter at 32 is not the same way that I use Twitter at 24.
But speaking of Twitter ruining lives.
Yeah. Let's talk about you know, like
let's talk
businesses.
About the young king.
Let's talk about businesses, right? So because businesses are still trying to figure out how to use Twitter for branding purposes. And every once in a while, and by once in a while, I mean like every 30 to 45 minutes, some businesses on Twitter are doing some real super ridiculous shit. Over the last week, H&M has been under fire because they had a little black boy in a hoodie that said, what did it say on the hoodie?
I think it was like coolest monkey in the jungle.
Coolest monkey in the jungle.
Yeah.
Right. Like we don't really have to discuss what that means for black people being compared to monkeys. And it doesn't even matter that H&M is not an American company. It's a British company because clearly the British have their own issues with racism. Some of the other, I mean, obviously people saw that. They were upset. H&M issued a statement saying, hey, you know, we fucked up. And H&M in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, was basically like trashed. And H&M put out another statement saying, hey, like we understand people are angry. We're going to close down the store. We're going to close down all the other stores in the area until we kind of figure out how to deal with this problem. Talk to me about how you feel about what H&M did with the hoodie and what people did to the South African store.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of points to this because understand that everything they do in real life can spread so crazy because this isn't something that they like tweeted out necessarily because that would have been a clear, but it's on their website, I believe, and a young lady screenshot it. Come on, y'all, like why y'all doing this to this little boy? He should not be wearing this. And then it kind of all just like totally took off. So that's weird to me that even got through marketing because, a lot of times too with these websites, with clothing sites, for example, the models just have on a regular t-shirt and then later they put the words on it and stuff like that. Like you see a lot of that. And I don't think this was that. And I didn't read H&M statements. So I'm not sure like if they had any kind of excuse for it. Either way, even if it was, that's them choosing to put that on the black boy. So I need for these folks to like get a culture check before they do any of these things. So obviously I think that they were in the wrong, but B, and this is like, I guess kind of actually going to, you were like, oh, we don't have to talk about what it said, but B, at what point, like, do we have to act like we don't like fried chicken and watermelon and we can't like monkey? You know what I mean? Like, at what point do we get to like own back like it's a fucking animal too? Like we totally understand. Like I totally understand that it's inappropriate and I understand all the undertones of it. But do you think that we'll ever be able to like you'd ever let your kid like monkeys or, have a shirt on that had a monkey on it or anything like that?
Yeah, because I don't want to say I don't care about it in that manner because I definitely thought what H&M did wasn't a good look. Like there's too much history wrapped up with comparing black people to monkeys to pretend that
it's like no excuse at this point.
Right. So we're not going to do the whole, they didn't know, like, why don't they hire more black people? Why aren't there more black managers or whatever? Because all that shit is kind of like besides the point, right? Like, one, even if they did hire black people in the room for marketing, there's no guarantee they're going to listen to those black people anyway, right? Two, just because you hire a black person,
I bet you they will now. Shit, I should have fired off some emails myself on LinkedIn.
But just because you hire a black person doesn't mean that they're also going to see the problem as well. Because just like you were talking about, some people are going to be like, well, it's just a monkey. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, how come we can't like monkeys or whatever? I'll give you a perfect example. And I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. I used to work at this this is a number of years ago. I used to work at this place for crazy people called the Chrysalis Center. Sorry if that was ableism or mislabeling or whatever, but you know, the people that I dealt with were like drug-induced paranoid schizophrenics. So by definition, they are actually crazy. Anyway, it was me, this black dude that I used to work with, and like 4 white women and like 1 woman of color. I think she was like Spanish or something like that. And we were all having a discussion about this incident that happened at this college where somebody tied a noose around a doorknob, right? So I was like, yeah, like you can't do that. Like you can't tie no noose around. Like people know what nooses mean, the history of hanging black people, blah blah blah, yada yada, whatever. And the black dude was like, it's just a piece of rope.
Yeah.
And you know,
this is like all the black people at BuzzFeed.
It's just like, you know, to him, it's just a piece of rope. But to me, it's a tied noose that you tie on somebody's door. So I said all that to say, like, just because you hire black people at H&M to spot these things doesn't mean that every black person is going to see it the same way. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like, I don't think that niggas need to hide that they like chicken or watermelon or any stereotypes that white people associate with black people. First of all, that's giving white people.
I guess it's just saying that we have, at some point, you still have to own and like, because it's like you can't let things define you, but at the same time, it has, so it does. I think it's weird that we have to. It sucks. Like it always comes down to this. Like we have to think so extra about shit, or like,
yeah,
we have so many layers to things. Yeah, golly. But then, okay, so then my next thing with this whole H&M thing, right, is people were blaming H&M. You can't do shit with a minor without the parents being right the fuck there and like signing off on it, right? So I was kind of surprised that there wasn't more people being like, what about, you know, where are the parents? Why did they do this or whatever? And the fact that it's assumption that their parents were broke or something, or they were being exploited. Y'all don't know them people. Them people could be millionaires. They could have 100 million pounds in the bank. And everybody was like, man, if they let their kid do that, they probably got, you know, they just needed the check and they did it because of blah, blah, blah. And I hate that when things happen, then the people it fucking happened to, like within minutes, like we're having all these assumptions and all these conversations. Like you said, with the 24-hour news cycle, I feel like this shit is like a 20-second, like boom, 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 boom of stuff just snowballing. And people are having all these conversations before they get any facts. Even like with the Keaton thing before, where we're having all this conversation. Oh, poor boy, poor boy. Oh, he called niggers. Oh, never mind. Retract. Delete the pictures. Like, figure this shit out. Like, I'm always, trust me, I'm on Twitter at all times of the day. Even if I'm not tweeting, I see everything and I'm looking at everything. When stuff like this happens, till I see, like, let me see some facts. Like, you know, what happened? Who did it happen to? Before I want to give a speech. Everybody wants to be some, like, big, put a speech out about how something's right or wrong to get their retweets or whatever. But then I feel like you look stupid later, because I think we should still be mad regardless of how the parents feel. But them parents said, get over it. Get over it, though? That's what the mom said. She said, why y'all putting on my little boy and all this king shit and pyramids and everybody remakes that little boy? Y'all, I feel like we almost did more shit to the little boy than they did, because we put all that bullshit on him and put him all over the internet now.
Yeah.
And my mom didn't even care.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's
said we good.
It's complicated, right? Like it's really complicated.
He might not be woke either.
Who, like, and if I'm trying to like figure out how I can even sort of address this, because there's so many fucking layers to this thing.
Yeah.
So like the parents are like, well, y'all got to get over it. So somebody might feel like, well, they, you know what I'm saying, racism and anti-blackness runs so deep that they don't even realize when they're being made fun of. That's one thing that you can say about the parents, right? Another thing that you can say about the parents is, okay, well, they probably just did it for money. Like, you don't know their financial situation. Like, they might have needed, you know, like, why else would they want to do this sort of thing? That's one thing, right? But there's also, like, people always associate Black people with being poor. So there's not surprising that people's first inclination was to say, well, they must have did it because they needed the money. because that's what people generally think when they think about black people, is that they're poor, we ain't got shit, and we'll do anything for money. And then the parent was like, yo, like, y'all, nigga, we did it. It's fine. I ain't got no problem with it. Or whatever like that. And it's like, it changes the narrative, but it doesn't change the narrative in the sense of how people are going to feel about it. It just changes like what actually happened with the situation. But where does that leave you as a person who takes offense to that thing? Like my whole policy on shit like this is I'm never going to be more offended than the person that it's happening to.
Listen, I'm telling you, that's why I said, oh, okay. I mean, like, I wouldn't buy that hoodie for my black boy or black girl, but mom was fucking right there, and she was like, cool, so cool.
Right.
Do your thing.
Like, I think that's kind of, I don't want to say that's, I mean, because sometimes when you read stuff on Twitter and like the way that stuff happens, like so set on a second to second basis, like it's easy to just be like, all of these people are mad. Like some people are just tweeting and it just happens to coincide with people that are also mad. Like sometimes it's just like people, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just their opinion on the situation. And then like, that's just the end of it. So like, I'm never like, but that's my policy though. I'm never going to be more mad than the person that it's happening to. Like if they're cool with it, then I'm cool with it. Just because I wouldn't let this thing happen doesn't mean that it's not okay for them. Like if they're okay with what happened, then fuck it. Then that's cool. The thing about them, you know, trashing the South African HM, which I thought was dumb. And this is why I thought it was dumb.
New ones here lately. There's more videos that's coming out where kids are walking in the stores throwing shit around. I'm like, nigga, we all see your face on this fucking camera. Are you dumb?
Yeah, that's stupid. But the reason why I think it's dumb for people to do that shit is because the people that you're gonna hurt aren't H&M. You're gonna hurt the people that work there. And in South Africa, there's a higher chance.
Probably your peers.
Right. There's a high chance of that H&M is probably going to be with black people. And now they're talking about they're closing a lot of stores that were in the area of that H&M that was being attacked. And it's like, well, what point did you prove by fucking up this H&M, and then like all these people are like can't go to work and like now they ain't got no jobs and they can't get paid.
But can you not correlate that? Can you compare that to when we riot and when we tear up stores and, you know, start things on fire? Would you say it's in any way comparable to that? But
I always say go do that shit in the white neighborhoods. I always say that.
I know that's right.
Don't tear your shit up. You know what I'm saying? Go tear them niggas shit up in their neighborhood. I don't never be understanding. Well, let me say that differently. When I say their neighborhood, it's obvious that they don't own, like when we talk about people rioting, particularly black people rioting in their own neighborhoods, it is very clear that there's a disenfranchisement going on and that they don't actually own that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Pay to live
but it serves them and they live in it, I guess.
Right. So I'm not a fan of niggas going to tear up their own shit, for lack of a better term, right? But I'm absolutely a fan of niggas going into the white people's shit and tearing their shit up. I'm absolutely a fan of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, take that shit to the white people and fuck their shit up. I'm cool with that.
So why is it that when stuff like this happens, everybody's mad? There was a lot of conversation. Like I said, they remixed that little boy hoodie about 80 million times, put him on a party flyer with MLK. Like, he was on top of the world, right? P. Diddy offered him $1 million modeling contract, bitch. Like, what? So it's almost like it's a strategy on both sides. Like, it's almost a fucking millionaire strategy to get offended in some big way online or to go viral in that way. And then B, I wish, actually there are probably ways. I want to see what sales did for H&M just because that bitch was in my face all week, dog. And I was like, man, I do need some new t-shirts. Like, that's marketing. That low-key is a marketing strategy now. Like, anytime there's outrage around and then you see their name a zillion times, like, yeah, it's bad, but are we really not going to H&M anymore? I mean, think about it. Every time we try to protest something or boycott something, the fucking NFL, that shit is almost like it never even happened right now to me. It seems like it. Like, I look on my timeline on Sundays, Monday, whatever now. Nigga, everybody's watching this shit. We were talking about kneeling a month ago. And it's like, nobody cares anymore. We were talking about H&M a few days ago. Off sale. And now people's like, you know, they got the little conceited mouth like, might have to go up in there. Like,
wait, they got an 80% off sale?
That's what I'm saying, nigga. Like, what are we supposed to be doing? What are we supposed to be doing? Just we need people aren't on the same page with anything. So when it comes to being upset, bro, we're just gonna be upset for fucking ever. We're not. I mean, until a black person makes a store, or until we get our shit up where we know, okay, I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna go to this other place. But then you're gonna complain about black-owned business, or you're gonna complain about how it costs more because they have less, less merchandise and not big distribution, and it's just a bunch of complaining. And I feel like we just want to complain sometimes. But okay, what can we really do different, and what's going to be sustainable to do differently?
But does it have to be sustainable? Like, shouldn't we be allowed to complain?
Yeah, we should. I think we should complain. But I wonder what happened with H&M. Oh! I did want to bring this up too with it. So because of this, what's his name? G-Eazy, is he the one who dropped out? Who dropped out? Logic. One of them rappers who had like a line with H&M said they weren't working with them anymore. The Weeknd had a thing, an EXO thing with them. He said, I'm not working with H&M anymore. But I'm not gonna lie to you, going back to what I said earlier, if I had put out something that said, anymore, I'm dropping my line with y'all, my collaboration, and then I read that woman said, fuck y'all, get over it, I said, oh, no. Yeah, put me back on there. I'm dead ass serious. I'd be like, no. Put them EXO hoodies back in the store, dog. They don't fucking care.
Yeah, but
it's like you have to do that, because that's like, you have to be like, I don't want to support this anymore. At the same time, man, that nigga don't care. What?
But listen, I don't think you have to. I think that you don't have to do anything. I don't think you have to do it. I think that sometimes the best, especially with the way that
them just burn themselves down,
especially the way that news moves, you don't have to do anything. You can just wait. Just sit still and wait. Wait a week, wait 2 weeks, wait 3 weeks, and see what actually happens. Because we've seen this plenty of times before, where a story will come out about something, everybody's outraged, an apology is issued, and then all the facts come out in like 4 days, and you're like, I was really outraged about that 3 days ago, but now that I've got all of the facts, and we've all made this mistake. I've made this mistake. I'm sure you've made the mistake. Mm-hmm. Everybody's made that mistake where you see something and you have an immediate visceral reaction to it, and like a few days later, the rest of the facts come out. And you're like, "Fuck, I feel like an idiot." Now.
That's what I'm saying. I ain't releasing no statement that I'm stopping my collaboration with H&M, and then that lady said we agreed to it. It was cool. So, you know what maybe they could have did that would have been better, is if they said, unless you do something, then I'm out of here, or something like that. Like,
hedge your bets. Always hire a consultant, or get some people or something. Maybe that would be smarter, because then maybe at least there's something changing. Yeah.
But even with the Dove soap shit, remember everybody just put that screenshot of the black lady taking the shirt off, turning into the white lady. All they put was a screenshot. Then we saw the video and said, bitch, the white lady turned into a Asian. So what are y'all talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, oh, never mind. Put their soap out the trash. And it's like, can y'all look at the full story, please?
Yeah. But usually people be reacting.
Niggas is on the edge. Boy, we out here so sensitive, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it's just a unfortunate fact. But you still, like, I don't know, it's too much reacting, I think, too quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody feels like they have to jump out and say something before some shit actually happens, because
I think it's about themselves, though. I think that's the ego thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And
it's about themselves. Niggas want to be reported so fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you feel like people are in it for reasons that may not always necessarily be something that you can actually recognize.
They think people count on their voice. Anyway, 80% off H&M, y'all. I'm gonna get on LinkedIn when we get off this recording and see.
Is it for real 80% off? Because I do need new work clothes. Like, absolutely.
Look online in your area. See if it's in your area. But yeah, that's fucked up.
I'm about to hit H&M after.
Oh, because that was the British site too. Because I remember the lady, it showed it in pounds, like how much this stuff costs. I don't know, like how they do around the world, but yeah, I think this is a good time for me to actually let them emails fly. See if I can get me a little in the leadership. See if they need some consulting or something. But anyway, yeah, I thought I think that's terrible of H&M. I think they'll never do that shit again. And
which is really what you want, right? You really don't want them to make this mistake again.
Yeah.
But people do have a penchant for making the same mistakes, and which is going to bring us to our next topic with Oprah's speech.
Oh God.
So Oprah's speech, and this is sort of like a two-part thing, right? Like we're going to talk about Oprah's speech, and then we're going to talk about the conversation that people were having about Oprah running for president based off of this speech. So we'll start with that. What's your like initial take on Oprah's speech? Because I know you listened to it like right before the podcast, which is basically what I did. But what's your take on that?
Yeah, because I didn't really watch. Where was I though? No, maybe it was just seeing it on Twitter and everybody talking about the outfits and stuff like that. Because I didn't watch it. But I thought her speech was so good. But I mean, this is what she does. Like her whole career is broadcast and host and being on TV. So I'm not sure why people are. I'm actually low-key a little offended that people are like, oh my God, that speech was so good. As if they've never seen Oprah speak or as if they expect anything different. So I don't know if that's me being sensitive, but that's kind of how the first thing I think, because I feel like that when I get up and speak at places and everybody's like looks up from their seat like, oh man, she's actually, articulate. It's like, okay, it was a good speech. And another thing I got out of the speech was when she was giving that history about Reese and her story and, the lady who recently passed away. And things like that always make me think like, yeah, we really don't know these things. I'm not sure how many people really knew that story. I knew about that lady and her contributions and, her being with Rosa Parks, all of that stuff. But I think there's a lot more for us to be learning. I think she put everything together really well. I wonder if she wrote it or if somebody else wrote it, but of course she can deliver it well. But I thought it was a really good speech, and that's it. Like I literally may have said if I was watching it live, I would have said like, wow, that was a great speech. And I wouldn't have thought about anything else. No extra correlations. Cool. You deserve the award. Oprah, you're amazing. You look great. That would have been the end of that for me.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much right on par with what you were saying. Like I listened to the speech and obviously like I'm not the target audience of that speech. That speech is, by a woman and it's primarily for women, which I don't have a problem with. So like I just, what I'm saying?
She
like
brought men in too, saying, you
well,
got to be a part of it and be accountable.
We're talking about the Me Too movement and stuff like that towards the latter part of the speech. But what I'm saying is like obviously like that speech was a targeted audience based on, what's going on with Harvey Weinstein and Hollywood and all these sexual assault allegations, which includes Aziz Ansari, which we'll definitely be talking about later. So I felt like I was like sort of like an outsider watching the speech, like an outsider looking in, watching the speech, so to speak. And I thought the speech was really good. Especially just, like I'm always a proponent of, women being empowered. I'm always a proponent of women like, being given the tools to sort of fight, their fight for being women and wanting them to be equal and supporting that in, whatever way that I can. So I don't, there's like no issues with what she was talking about. And like, even though I said earlier that the speech wasn't really targeted for me, particularly as a man, but like, I don't feel no type of way about that. Like, it's good. That's fine. Like, I don't have no problem with that shit at all. But then people started talking about the speech being a possible presidential candidate speach
immediately too. Like she ain't even sit down yet.
Whatever the fuck. Like, because I am on the record saying that I do not watch award shows. I do not care about award shows. I do not care what's on the red carpet. I do not care who is performing. I do not care what people like that. None of that shit is for me. And I'm actually surprised that people still watch that. But then with Twitter, like you feel like you're watching it with everybody. So I definitely understand the appeal to want to be, like part of what's happening right now. So you can have something to tweet about. Completely get it. But as far as like a presidential speech, like I don't get that shit at all. And I don't want any more celebrities running to be president.
I think we're like so like ridiculously like disillusioned and everything by the current leadership that it's like any nigga who could put two words together like, are you running? Are you running? You should run. You should run. And it's like, man, if y'all don't stop setting them people up, like nobody should even want to be president. Like, first of all, you gotta be fucking insane for that shit. And two, like, why is everybody so pressed to like put people in these positions? It's weird to me. I think it's just weird. And why don't we know any politicians? why don't we really know any, like, even if it was about we want a black woman, even if that was your little fetish thing, or you think that would be cool, why don't we know actual real black men or even black women who are actually in politics? Like, I can only think of a couple, and that's because they be on Twitter and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we're so hyped for the people that we look at. Maybe one of the issues is that as citizens or residents, we need to educate ourselves better and more on politics in our country and on who these people are, who some governors may be, whoever may be, who could be potential, who could be actual potential and do a good job and actually know shit about the world. None of this is to say that Oprah doesn't. I'm sure she knows everything she needs to know. And if she don't, she could pay whoever she needs to get shit done right. So I'm not speaking down to her abilities at all, but there's people who do live for this and this is their life. We should know who those black people are better, and we should support them.
Yeah. I just, like, people were saying that Donald Trump shouldn't run for president. At the time, he shouldn't have ran for president.
He's not. He doesn't want to be president.
Yeah, but that he shouldn't have ran for president because he has no experience in any form of politics and that he has never held any public office, which makes him unqualified.
How weird was that shit?
For the job.
How crazy is that?
Which makes him unqualified for the job. But Oprah, who also has no experience in politics and has never ran for public office, they're now saying that she should run for president. And people are trying to tell me that it's different because they're sure that Oprah would hire the right people, that Oprah would, do this, that, and the third, and that she's like a polar opposite of Donald Trump. And I get those arguments, right? But the fact still remains that she has never ran for public office and she has never held public office. And saying that she should run for president really ain't that much better than people saying that Trump should.
It's not. And perhaps another issue about this is the fact that what really is the president, but it's become just a face, right? Like, that's almost a problem in itself. What the fuck is this person's like real job? Because they have their cabinet, they have everybody around them. They just need to be a face, and they need to be fucking competent.
Which would be the counter argument to people like me saying that Oprah shouldn't run, would be people who make the argument that you just made, saying, well, the president really doesn't do a whole lot other than.
That's kind of an issue in itself. But they could do more, I guess, if they do know, if it is a real they are the commander in chief, so they still got to be able to control the army and shit. They got to do stuff like that, and then they got to do partisan politics. You trying to get laws passed, Obamacare or whatever the fuck. Like there are things that the president does. You need to be diplomatic. I think that's what's missing now. You need to be culturally aware. That's super missing now.
I think that obviously you have to have, obviously there's a number of checks and balances in the government which allow the president to have a lot of power, but not so much power that they will be able to ultimately overrule everybody else. But they still got to do some shit that is more than just shaking hands and kissing babies. And I kind of would like somebody who is accustomed to more than just shaking hands and kissing babies to be running for president. Like I don't have no interest in politics, but I'm not that far gone where I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to vote for Oprah. That's not happening.
Yeah, and they try to pull Michelle Obama in that mix too, and it's like
Oprah Michelle 2020. I'm like, y'all leave these people alone.
Niggas on Instagram are already selling T-shirts with them two on it, and I'm like, what is happening? Y'all doing the same shit that they was doing with Donald. Y'all doing the same shit they did with Reagan, and like we just don't need to do this again.
I ain't gonna knock the hustle, but yeah.
I feel it. And just like people with the whole shithole countries comment, I see T-shirts already of people, I'm from a shithole country. I see displays at bookstores where it's like authors from shithole countries. And it's like everything that's said now is just turned into an op. And it's like, I get it. That's why it's weird to me. I'm like, I get it, but what are y'all doing?
No, I don't get it. I don't.
There's so much shit to be taken advantage of right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, America has they have a real love for celebrities, and just like they just automatically assume that because celebrities have a lot of money or they made a lot of money that they're obviously smart and that they are smart enough to do anything. And I just
These niggas are not smart. And anytime you really meet like a celebrity or really hear them talk sometimes, like I don't want to meet anybody else that I think I look up to, period. Because I'm disappointed every time. And I'm not going to say that about Oprah, because me and Oprah, we could kick it any day. Like, Oprah, if you listen to this, holler at me. Please donate. Cash App is NWAPcast. But I mean, she seems cool as hell, but nah.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. And to end the podcast, we're going to talk about something else that people aren't feeling right now, which is Aziz Ansari, because boy, some shit broke out on the timeline the other day, and people got a lot of fucking questions.
And this is a real one, because this is the one where it's kind of gray, and this is where a lot of people fall into these types of categories. Like I feel like guys get it. You try a girl, no, cool. That's a real obvious one. In this case, now people are like, they're acting like they're confused, and it's a little bit more to it.
It's a little different, and I'm gonna try to sum this up as best as I can in the most clearest way that I can. So, an article came out about a young woman who went on a date with Aziz Ansari. And the story essentially says that she went out on a date with him. She met him at a party. She gave him her number at his request. They were texting for a while. He asked her out on a date. He took her on a date. The date ended earlier. Well, I'm sorry. They met at his house. He kind of
rushed it.
They met at his house before he took her to wherever they were going for that evening. She was saying that he kind of rushed her through the dinner to get back to his place. They get back to his place. He's trying to have sex with her, and she is not going with it. She did perform fellatio on him a couple of times, but she said that she felt that she was pressured to do it because he was constantly asking her, do you want me to have sex with you here? Do you want me to have sex with you there? And like he would point to his dick. Weird. He would like grab her hand and put it on his penis. And she said like after a while, she just kind of turned cold or whatever. There was an opportunity. I don't want to say opportunity. That's the wrong word. There was a time where she excused herself. There was a time during all of this that happened that she excused herself to the bathroom to sort of collect her thoughts. She came out and then she said that, that she wasn't really interested in what was going on. And he was like, okay, let's just hang out with our clothes on or whatever. They were hanging out, and then he kind of like turned her around and like pointed to his dick because he wanted her to suck it, and then she sucked it, and then he like took her to like the bathroom, not the bathroom, took her to like a mirror and was like, "Do you want me to have sex with you in front of the mirror?" Like all this really, really weird stuff. And
it seemed like it was way too much tug and pull.
Right. So then
for like,
I'm just finish the story and we'll get into that. So then, after a while, she was just like, fuck this. Like, I'm not going to be here no more, whatever. So she got her stuff. She left. He called her an Uber. She went home. He texted her the next day saying that he had a good time. She was like, she didn't have a good time. She felt pressure. She felt this. She felt that. He was like, I'm sorry. I apologize or whatever. So that's more or less the whole story of what happened between that young lady and Aziz Ansari. When you read the story, like what was your initial like reaction, and like have you talked to anybody about it and then changed your mind about what happened, or like just kind of like have you thought about your own experiences in similar situations if you have any, and sort of felt differently, like what's going on with you, like what were your initial reactions to that?
As I read it, I immediately flashed back to times when that's happened, when you'll be with somebody or hanging out with somebody, and as a woman you're trying, like, you don't know who's crazy and who's not. Like, so as a woman, that thing where it's like you're trying to kind of be nice, but you're also like obviously uncomfortable obviously uncomfortable. And it's like you're trying to figure out a way out. Maybe you do things because I don't know what else, what could happen. Man, I just do this and leave or whatever. But it seems like it's just, but definitely I've had experience where guys are oblivious to the fact that they're making you uncomfortable. And maybe it could be an age thing. It could be a mindset thing for the woman to feel strong enough or comfortable enough or safe enough to be like, yo, I'm out, and just leave. I don't want a blanket statement and say it's a esteem thing or anything like that. Cause I mean, you never know like what it could be or what separates people from being able to just say, I don't need to do this and leave, versus, oh, maybe I'll just kind of do a little and just try to get out of here or whatever, even though I'm uncomfortable. So I mean, I can't speak to that young lady. I know she's younger. Now I feel like, me today, I would be able to be like, bro, like, get off me, like, I'm out, But yeah, there's been times where you're there and it's like there's this sense of like feeling like you have to comply or like you need to do something or you're kind of already doing enough. So it's like, it's just weird and creepy. But it seems like on the guy's part, it's like a power struggle. And it's like, bro, let it go. Like, why are you this pressed? Like, if she's saying like, nah, if you have to like you're forcing your fingers down her throat and forcing this and forcing that, and you've done it multiple times or trying to do things multiple times or try to advance multiple times. And bro, if y'all haven't fucked at this point, like, let it go. You know what I mean? Like, you've said this a million times before where you're like, hey, is this okay? Or like, are we cool? Like, the girl obviously wasn't cool. So even if you need to say something, I'd be like, if you're not with it, like, all right, cool. Like, at one point, they were sitting on the sofa chilling after a bunch of stuff had happened. And so to me, that's when I'm like, all right, girl, you need to like get up and leave, or be like, okay, I'm gonna go home or something. But I understand it. But I also unfortunately feel like if that was me in that situation, I would never tell that story, because it looks like it's just me in the situation still trying to like I was into it, or not even if I wasn't into it, but like I did it, so I shouldn't be able to complain later type thing. And I already know how everybody would take that and how everybody's taking it now and talking about it like,
right,
how you suck somebody's dick multiple times and then say you felt pressure, and people don't get it. So I honestly wouldn't have even told this story, but I completely 100% get it, and I think it's wrong. And I think that men need to ask more questions, communicate better, and maybe if you don't get the cues, I don't know what to tell you, but women also should not feel pressured to do that stuff. And hopefully when they can, and if they can, get out of the place. It's weird because I feel like people could attack any of those angles I just said, could get attacked. And it's not an easy way to even really explain any of it, because it's just a lot involved, I think.
yeah. I was actually talking to, because I left that topic alone on Twitter. The only thing I said I said on Twitter was like, if she's not enthusiastically trying to fuck you, just leave it alone.
Like don't need to be pressed.
That was really my only,
like, that's a characteristic of some guys that where like if they're too pressed and there's something a little off there. That's a control thing or a power thing, whatever. But that's a little off.
Yeah, I was talking to a young lady about this, and like where we have a relationship, not like a girlfriend boyfriend relationship. Like, she's somebody that I know, that I've known for a while. So we were sort of discussing this, and we were discussing like, why didn't she leave? Why didn't she do this? Why didn't she do that? And I was saying like, like I completely understand like the power dynamics. You're talking about patriarchy, somebody famous, like she was at his home,
the celebrity too.
He's a celebrity. And then, and sometimes I'm not clear on what sort of questions you're allowed to ask in a situation like this. Because in the story, she said, before they went back to his home, like the date was trash and she wasn't interested in fucking him at all.
Mm-hmm.
So like, this was before she got back to the apartment. So
we don't owe these niggas nothing. Go home.
So my initial question was, so then like, why the fuck did you go to his apartment? But then I also know that women are socialized to be nice, to be polite.
It's Aziz Ansari.
Right.
Sometimes you think about, what if this could be something, or what if, wow, I could be with a celebrity, instead of how do you really feel like right now?
But yeah. So, but I mean, even though she did like, in the story, she explicitly said that she wasn't interested in him and that the date was terrible. And like, I was like, well, why didn't you just go home? But like I said, you talk about patriarchy, you talk about pressure, you talk about the way that women are socialized. It's hard. It's not hard to understand why she just didn't go home at that time. So then, what I'm saying, they get back to the apartment and he's like trying to like fill up on her and try to do this stuff or whatever. She's like, like I was nonverbal in my cues, but I clearly wasn't feeling it, like I was mumbling and stuff like that or whatever. Like I just wasn't like super into it or whatever. And the first time I read that, I was like, so why the fuck didn't you just go home? But then I read it again and I was like, well, if she's not super into it, like that should have been the cue for you to like just leave it alone. For Aziz Ansari, for him to just leave it alone.
Or just chill.
And then she was like, you know, like he gave me head and then I gave him head. It was really quick. Like it was 10 minutes between the time that we got home and the time that he was trying to go get a condom to fuck something or whatever. And I was like, so I understand her saying she's uncomfortable, but at that particular time in that first 10 minutes or whatever, she hadn't said anything about not being comfortable. And I'm like, you know, you've been texting this girl for a while. You might think that everything's on the up and up. I don't know what was said in those texts because they said they were flirtatious texts, but I'm also 32. And
that's a big thing too.
I want to stick right. I want to stick my tongue
sometimes in them texts, and then you'd be surprised when they try to get right to it.
Yeah, because them texting the first few days when you're really excited, somebody be like real fucking ridiculous. Like, I want to stick my tongue in your ass and fuck you on the balcony.
Yeah, we gotta stop doing shit. That.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I don't know like what the nature of those texts were. Not that it matters, but if she was saying that she didn't think that it was going to go down like this, I'm wondering like what the conversation might have been prior to her going to the house. And then she was talking about, you know, being at the house, being uncomfortable and sort of being like nonverbal, like him not reading nonverbal cues and stuff like that. And then like there was an opportunity where she could have just been like, I'm just going to leave. And she didn't take it. And initially I was like, why the fuck didn't you take that outing? But again, socialization, patriarchy, pressure, celebrity, power, all that stuff. So like I understood more on the second reading than on the first reading why she wouldn't have made what most people consider a quote unquote normal decision that anybody would have made. So part of me, so I summed it all up like this when I was talking to my friend. Part of me understands why she didn't leave. Another part of me has questions about why she didn't leave. All of me feels like Aziz Ansari was being a fucking creep.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm very, very solid on that portion. You know what I mean? Like there's no question in my mind that nigga he violated in some way. I don't know if it's sexual assault. I don't know if it's sexual misconduct. I don't know how people are slicing it these days. But he clearly went past a boundary that was there and he wasn't trying to pay attention to.
Yeah, like he wasn't trying to see
that I came up with. Whether I feel like he wasn't trying to see it. I feel like, you know what I mean? And the reason why I feel like that is, and I was talking about this on Twitter, but I deleted it because I felt weird talking about this in the moment that I was talking about it. But like in my late teens and in most of my 20s, like I was very, very afraid of being accused of sexually assaulting somebody. Like that was a very, very real fear. So whenever I had sex with somebody that was like a new person and we hadn't had like an established relationship, and not that I didn't ask women when we did have an established relationship, but I always made sure I would ask women like, are you okay with this? Are you okay with where this is about to go or where we are going or what we are doing right this moment? I was very vigilant about making sure that the women that I was dealing with were okay with what was happening, because I never wanted for somebody to wake up and feel like you forced me to do a thing that I did not want to do. And I'm going to talk about coercion in a second, but talk about this.
And I feel like even if a girl was kind of like it's a little squeamish or something, you'd probably be like, you know what, let's, never mind.
No, but I've done that. Like I've been with a woman in my room, like
they didn't seem super comfortable,
and being like, I don't feel like you're okay, so I'm just gonna fall back. Like I'd rather just fall back.
Smart.
Than, you know what I'm saying? And they'll be like, no, like it's fine, blah, blah, whatever. Like, no. Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to do this thing. If you just want to chill, we can just chill. That's how I carried it. And so when I read stories about like dudes pushing up on women to the point where they're relenting, and I'm just like, damn, dog. Like, I think the socialization is that, women aren't sexual, so they say no until you have to convince them to say yes. Like that's like a whole thing. It's like a whole fucking psychological dynamic of men feeling like they have to convince women to have sex, as if women don't have their own agency. So like that's like a whole nother conversation or whatever. But it's just like when I read this story, I was just like, I don't understand why he didn't just chill. Like that, I read it twice, and that's how I came away feeling. Like,
actually, now that I think about it, the quick first thing that came to my mind was somebody who also was a little bit notable. So I think maybe there is like a lot, not that I don't even call them regular people, but a common, I guess common's not good either, but any person could be like this. But maybe it is kind of one of those things where it's like, why wouldn't this person want me? Is what you're thinking, type thing. And
why would they want
yeah,
you? Why would they?
like why wouldn't they? But even when I was in a situation like that, I was like, haha, okay, gotta go. You know, I kind of got my stuff, but you know, I noticed they always were like trying me every time. They got to the point where it's like, bro, I just can't be around this person because you don't get it. And then later, when I kind of stopped talking to the person, they're like, man, I feel like, you know, we had such a connection. What happened? And I'm like, this person's just completely oblivious. Like they just didn't like connection about what? We didn't talk about anything. We didn't, you know, like nothing was really there. What are you talking about? So I think it's really like a oblivious thing for these people. And I don't know, it's very unfortunate, but I don't know, women, just be safe. And if you're not feeling it, if you can get out, get out. Like if you went to the bathroom, fuck that nigga, leave, walk out the door if you need to. Who cares? You don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in what happens to her moving forward because I mean, I know it's not going to be good for her, unfortunately.
And like, I always feel like when we have these conversations, when we tell, you know, where people try to give advice to women, it's like, is there ever really a good time to say, like, here are some steps that you can take to sort of think about if you feel like you're in an uncomfortable situation? Because obviously when it's happening or when people are telling the story or the story just popped on the timeline, you can't talk about it then because people are going to think that you're insensitive.
Right.
And if you try to talk
it's
about
always
it
this
later,
weird space of like you have, it sucks that you have to give women tips about things to not do or be careful about or look for this or try this. And as if it's because of them or as if it's them, but you also, I mean, we do have to do certain things to be safe or to get out of situations. And it's just weird.
right? And I don't think that those conversations happen in lieu of not telling men to stop, you know, not telling men to stop raping.
Yeah.
I think the definition of consent, and I was going to say about this earlier, the definition of consent, like we need to start like hammering that shit into children and everybody at all ages, because, you know, like for the longest time, people considered consent like convincing a woman to do something, or, you know what I'm saying? Or people feel like, well, I didn't make her do that. She chose to do it. A young lady, and I'm not going to say her name, and I hope that if she listens to this podcast, I hope she's not offended by me telling the story since she shared it on a public timeline. She told a story about dealing with this guy, and he was basically like, either you give me head or you sleep outside. Right. Now, somebody might say, well, you know, and she opted to not sleep outside. So somebody might say, well, she didn't have to suck his dick. She could have just went home, you know, but she didn't have a way to get home.
Yeah, people don't be knowing people's situations.
Right. And he knew that she didn't have a way to get home. And he obviously knew that she didn't want to sleep outside and she didn't want to sleep outside. Yeah. So that's not a choice. Like if you're being forced between a rock and a hard place, quote unquote, no pun intended. You're being forced between a rock and a hard place. Like that's not a free decision that you made. If niggas are saying do something or the consequences would be so severe that you may be injured, or it's just two really, really not cool things that you don't want to do. Like that's not a choice.
I've been in similar situations like that before too, actually, when I was between moving apartments, that little space where I had to be out of this place, but then I couldn't go to my next place for like a day and stayed at somebody's house. And it was like, it's kind of weird because they were trying to do all this stuff. And it's like,
because they knew that you couldn't go nowhere.
But yeah, it's weird. It is weird. It's so all this women's empowerment is very necessary because I think that we do need to recognize our agency more and our that we can make these decisions, and or that we need to be more controlling of our situations as much as we can, I guess. But also, yeah, consent. I've started to see like a lot of people talking about like little programs and like things they do with their boys and trying to teach them or how they try to incorporate that into like their daily, like, okay, you know, this, this person said, stop pulling this little girl's hair. So let's, we're going to have a conversation about this. Like,
right.
Why you shouldn't be doing that or what that means to be bothering the woman or whatever, the girl like that. So it's a lot. It's a lot of mindset shit that's going to take time, I guess. But I think these conversations overall are good. And I think it's so interesting that Hollywood and everything else will probably look so different very soon because of these people are just like getting out of here. I wonder what they're going to do with Aziz. Like if they're going to take his show off Netflix or like what's going to happen. He's a funny dude. I'm kind of surprised at this with him, I think, but I'm also not, it's like I'm surprised anytime a story comes out, but then I'm like, that shit. So
yeah, I think at this point you really can't put anything past anybody in that any given
past nobody. And I know everybody's so nervous too. Like, and he was at the Golden Globes and he had his little pin on, time's up or whatever. And that's what somebody said too. They were like, man, he looked like he was kind of upset when he won because gonna come out. Like niggas know. That's the thing too. Like when you see all this happening, I think guys can look back in their own experiences and know, like, yeah, there was a couple times I might have violated. And I think that. And I need for you to know that in the moment and at the time when things are happening.
Right. Yeah.
No means to no. Don't vote for Oprah.
But yeah, no means no. Don't vote for Oprah. Don't always pay attention to your text messages and
check H&M for that sale.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Crazy.
One man, one woman weave week on I said one woman weave in that
top 7 Negro Android. If you're listening to this, don't come back next week.
Wow.
Pink slip.
That's
not just kidding.
That is not.
Nah, but y'all tell us how y'all feel about these topics, man. And if anybody feels comfortable telling their stories, as always, we're interested in seeing those things.
The NWAPcast@gmail.com. If you do, we will not use your name for these stories if you want to share them. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm almost afraid to ask y'all to share y'all stories because I know that there's so goddamn many.
Yeah, and you don't even have to. It's something. I mean, it's just like with the whole Me Too hashtag. Everybody's just like, "Yep, I feel it. I get it." Mm-hmm. But we did. I think a lot of people appreciated that educators episode, Smooth Order, because there's a couple of Black men who said, they were thinking about getting into teaching. It was a young lady as well, and so that was kind of cool. Actually, I'm surprised that it was a lot of response about that and about teaching and everything. So we love when you guys interact and let us know, how your life is intertwined with the topics that we're talking about. So keep doing it.
Indeed. Well, that's NWAP, Negroes with a Podcast. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Goodbye. See you next week. Gee,